reinforced that first feeling I had of knowing that just because I threw an apple, I didn't deserve what came after.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about marriage boot camp. Talking about guys about Tahiri and Vado. You already know what it is, baby. You know what I'm going to talk about. You know what I'm going to talk about. All right, cool. So let's get into the video. I don't want to waste too much time. Obviously, you know, with the Tahiri and Vado situation, I watched. If you're new to the channel, make sure. Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button. For those who are returning, we're talking about Married at First Sight, Vado and Tahiry, baby. Marriage boot camp, okay? You already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, alright? You got the minerals, you got the minerals. Zuzzle. Alright, listen, let's get into it. Let's talk about, obviously, Tahiri and talk about Vado. And don't forget to get your merchandise as well. The Tahiri Vado situation, I watched a video recently of Dr. Ish, who came out and gave us a video as well. I think I might do a separate one for that one. Watching the Tahiri Vado situation, for me, I'm still frustrated. I'm frustrated because I feel like, again, this part of the episode, again, there was no accountability for Tahiri's behaviour, and what I saw was enabling. So, again, there was a reinforcement by Judge saying I was...
There you go. I now know that you understand that no behavior on your part deserves being grabbed up by a dude.
Tahiri saying that obviously, look, when she came to speak, you know, I appreciate the fact that she made me feel like no matter what, when I threw those apples, it didn't constitute to that reaction. I'm like, Tahiri, are you alright? Do you hear yourself? Like, I hope you watch this, Tahiri. There is no way you can actually think that what you did not provoke a man. And I'm not a person that agrees with domestic violence at all. In fact, I always say this, irrespective of whether you threw apples at him or not, he should have never put his hand on you. But then you should have never put your hands on him.
Again.
She helped me reinforce that first feeling I had of knowing that just because I threw an apple, I didn't deserve what came after.
Now, regardless, you see, the fact that you can say it in a tone of, just because I threw apples, are you okay? You're acting as if, oh, I just said, can you calm down or something, which I can understand would be something that should never trigger for the person to do what they did. But you loaded apples at the person. You basically pushed a chair into someone's face. Then also you verbally abused the person, shouting, screaming, and kicking. Okay, and on a consistent basis, not the first week, for a few weeks now. This means this has been going on before then. You said yourself, he's never ever. See, this is what I'm saying, that she's taken an inch. He's never ever been...
It starts first with verbal, but he never was verbal abusive. So it was shocking for me to do that.
My thing is...
verbally abusive to you. So you were surprised that he took a physical stance. How much do you think he's going to take? If you've been launching tirades, and this is why I'm concerned by Dr. Ish and the judge people. Now, Dr. Ish said that obviously he addressed her in the show, but he never made the show. Well, here's my thing. If the show decided that this was only good to show from Tahiri's side, then the show has got an agenda. And that agenda, I don't like it. I refuse to accept that agenda. So I will call it out and say that is wrong. Categorically. You cannot show that obviously... Why would you even cut that out? I'm confused. Unless you have an agenda, why would you as an editorial team cut out the fact that Dr. Ish spoke to Tahiri? Yeah, like, and here's my thing. When I watched Dr. I'm gonna address another time, but when Dr. Ish did his live, okay, he still made an excuse for Tahiri. Though he said, obviously, yeah, I don't agree to Tahiri launching apples, he put a button there. And I was like, whoa, bro, there's no button here, bro. It's a domestic violence. It's either, like, regardless, irrespective of whether you think it's just apples, she launched apples at somebody and it could have hurt him, man, right? Otherwise, we're going to start saying, well, he only just got up and put his hands around her. Like he said, I wasn't going to punch her or nothing. So then, who do we believe? Yeah? Either it's across the board or it's nothing. Right? Because then we see later on, Tony moving mad too, threatening that she's gonna bust up, corrupt, and they kept her in the house. Again, it's not showing. You said you're sending the right message to people that violence isn't the key, and that you keep Tony in the house when she's moving like she's gonna fight something. Now, I agree. I hear Tony and I feel her pain, and I'm telling you, I don't like what Corrupt did. That is gaslighting 101, and it's the most scariest thing to do to somebody. You can make them go insane. But at the same time, the fact that you were threatening violence, you even went into the place and got up into the man's face, didn't want to leave until the security guards came, and then the show thinks that's acceptable behavior. and you removed Vado for getting up into someone's grill. So what message are you sending? That's my point here. Anyway, now what she mentioned was that obviously, she feels like Vado is super immature version of communication. And I'm looking at it going, you're preaching to the choir, my sis. Look at the pot calling the kettle black. You are the one also who is doing the same immature communication. When you're shouting and screaming and yelling, you are not communicating like a mature adult. You are not communicating like somebody who's mature. Exact same way. You understand? And obviously, listen. I don't feel like she's been held accountable. And when obviously Dr. Ish went to talk to Vado, I noticed that Vado didn't want to look at him.
Like I'm being disrespected.
When you think that's happening, it makes you feel how?
Weak.
As he was talking, Vado was kind of like facing away from him, hand, his knee and his hand was, he basically had his hand over his knee, basically one knee up. He was struggling to look at Dr. Ish, innit, right? And I know he probably felt like he couldn't say what he needed to say to his face directly, but he had to look away because like it's a hard subject to talk about, right? You also don't want to look like a dickhead. You don't want to come across like a woman beater. That's not your thing. But you at the same time, you know that you don't want to take full responsibility. This is why later on when Tahiry says, he said sorry, but. Right? And I get it, right? So the conversation is really tight for him at the moment when he's talking to Dr. Ish in a hotel. He said obviously that, the time of energy, and you know what? He said obviously these words. He's been saying that the energy that Tahiry's been given isn't right to him, right? And this has been going on for a little while. Now remember, this is Tahiry's friend. So if Tahiry's treating him like this in a relationship, that should tell you everything you need to know. Not that she's a bad person, but that there needs to be some serious work on Tahiry's end, and yet you're enabling her behavior of physical abuse and verbal abuse, right? But you want to check, obviously, Vado. Yeah, you want to say that, and he's obviously saying, listen, he's been trying to tell her from time that it's not...
I've been telling her for days. The way you so quick to get rowdy ain't normal.
Pressing me.
Especially over the situations it been.
Right, but because he's a friend of hers, this is why I think the tables are flipped. He's given her more leeway than the other guys would because he's a friend, right? First, he knew her before, I'm guessing, right? And so now what he's seeing is he's trying to almost process information like, hold on a minute, you don't act like this with other boyfriends. Like he said it, like you give other...
About expectations. I think that I'm looking forward to too much because I've seen this woman treat her man like a king, and I'm looking for all of that.
In a man, more glory, but me, your friend, who's your man, you're not gonna give me that glory. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So, I'm not agreeing with him, but I understand what he meant. Like, some of these women only understand violence. Like, they only understand when I'm being, when I'm showing them different levels and sex. You get me? And I don't agree with it, but I get what he means because even Tahiri herself said obviously she never had a relationship where she's found love, right? She's never been loved correctly. But the truth of the matter is, you're not loving the person who you're in with now correctly. You're acting abusive. So in this particular ratio, it goes both ways. Both parties need to learn how to communicate effectively.
She came with a lot, but I could change her. I'm me.
And underneath that is, if they loved me enough, they would change for me. She got love for you, but I'm not.
He said obviously as well that he really thought that he could change her. And this is a Superman complex. To think that you're going to save somebody, right? You think that maybe you're a friend and you think you have more leverage, you have more respect, and you feel like you have more real rope to work with. But the truth of the matter is, even as a friend, you don't have no rope to work with because Tahiri is not ready for that healing just yet. It seemed like on that show. Not that she was opposed to it, but she wasn't healing the way she needed to in order to be able to access the relationship the way she should. Right? Because if you say that you wanted to make her change and wanted to see her change, but never see her change, that's about her, not about you. You tried. You know what I'm saying? And then he said obviously he gets angry when he feels weak, when he feels disrespected, right? And he said obviously people only respect violence, and he thinks that basically Tahiri needs to be checked, right? And I just think to myself, coming from where Tahiri's coming from, she may think that that behavior is acceptable, but from both of them it's not acceptable. Like that talk and crud and I'm gonna get you and that kind of sentiment and mentality ain't gonna help nobody. Ain't not helping nobody. Ain't not helping nobody. Not only that, like I said, I also say as well that Vado's pride must have been shot because for you to apologize and I know he said it in the other meeting that you know what, fam, like, she did something to trigger me, innit? And obviously Dr. Ish is letting him know, listen, there's nothing that should trigger you to the point where you put your hands on somebody. And this is what I wanted to see the same thing with Tahiry, but obviously, the truth of the matter is obviously that, you know, the pride must have been chalked at that point, because for you to go
Help correct some of that thinking. The way Vado handles this apology and his assignments will absolutely determine whether or not we allow him to come back and participate in.
and apologize when you know that you feel like, or when you feel like you've been hard done by as well, is very hard and bitter pill to swallow. Very hard and a bitter pill to swallow. Tahiry was obviously saying as well that, you know what, she feels like Vado needs more time. They need more time to be separate, right? They need more time. But the thing is here, if Tahiry is not being talked to about her violent behavior, my friend, don't matter how much time that you have spent apart, you're not going to make it, because you haven't dealt with you. You've only dealt with Vado, and then you've made it into a thing, you're not even sure how you feel anymore. And it's like, yo, what do you mean? I didn't feel anything at the moment, but it's like, yo, my G, like, are you gonna be self-aware and say, actually, I did him dirty? Are you gonna be that woman? Or are you just gonna say that you don't know what happened and keep along that trail? So obviously, to wrap it up as well, I think when I saw obviously her do the last scene, and what's interesting as well is the way that Tony's a bit more nurturing towards her, but she's just not showing any nurturing towards Tony. Like, for instance, she came at her for the corrupt situation, right? But then later on found out that corrupt is the way he is. Like, he ain't changing no drinking for nobody. But she was on Tony's neck saying, obviously, you know, you should be focused more on, you know, making sure that he's better. And it's like, yo,
And all the evidence you have in front of you accuses he's guilty.
Tony, pick one battle. And which battle is worth fighting for? His health, his life, or this person, this homeless chick?
So she came at her for the corrupt situation, right? But then later on found out that corrupt is the way he is. Like, he ain't changing no drinking for nobody. But she was on Tony's neck saying, obviously, you know, you should be focused more on, you know, making sure that he's better. And it's like, yo, my G, but I was on your side when it came to the you and Vado, but you're not gonna support me. Like, and it's not even like I'm moving wrong. I'm actually, you know, I was right. So why wouldn't you support me? Like, and then on the couch as well, I saw that, you know, Tony was doing her hair like this, da-da-da. But where was Tahiry doing the same thing to her? Nowhere. I hadn't seen Tahiry being that affectionate with Tony yet. Maybe it has happened, I don't remember, but there wasn't much of an affection from Tahiry to her side. But I saw that from Tony to her side. Do you understand? To the point where Tahiry was trying to even talk to Corrupt, and Corrupt basically...
She's nuts.
Did you admit to cheating?
You want me to lie?
Huh?
Come on, man. And don't let this kid fool you, man.
All right.
He just told her, listen, like, all you women don't want the truth. And then Tony, you know, Tahiry has to even turn around and say, I'm gonna face my books. I ain't gonna even talk. I'm gonna face my books. Why? Because now you realize what Tony was saying is coming to pass. He doesn't listen to nobody, regardless whether you're sis or sister. You understand? And so for me, you know, I truly believe that obviously Tahiry is a good woman, but the truth of the matter is that she's got a lot of work to do on the physical aspect, the emotional aspect. I saw the way she was even getting angry when Corrupt was even saying what he was saying. At that point, she had to get up from her seat. And I was like, ooh, I was like, listen, that is why we need to say that she needs emotional work. She needs some work, and that's something that must be done. But the fact that Vado never got the chance to be in front of the group is a problem. But Tahiry did. So Tahiry's had all the support now, and Vado hasn't. So yeah, guys, I didn't want to talk too deep, too much, and you will see my release of a video of Dr. Ishmael later on. But the truth of the matter is, I just don't rock with the Tahiry and Vado situation. I'm really thinking that there's such an agenda against a black male, and not only that, you know, Tahiry's unaccountability is a problem. But I see the growth in her. I see the fact that she's realizing that she doesn't need a man, and that's important. Knowing that you need to be whole by yourself is important. When you enter a relationship, then what you can do is become two whole people, not one half and the other half. All right. So yeah, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Marriage Bootcamp. You already know what time it is, baby.